I was kicked out at 17 with $20 in my pocket. The night my mom threw a crumpled $20 bill at me and told me to figure it out, I realized I didn't actually have a home anymore. I was 17. No car, no plan, no safety net. Just a backpack with 2 shirts, a pair of sneakers, and the $20 my mom had basically paid me to disappear. The fight wasn't even about anything huge. I came home late from a friend's house, she accused me of drinking, I denied it, she snapped. But the truth is, it wasn't about that night. It was years of resentment, yelling, slammed doors. That night was just the breaking point. When she locked the door behind me, I stood on the porch for a solid 10 minutes, staring at the wood grain, waiting for her to open it again. She didn't. I had no idea where to go. It was summer, but the night air felt sharp and heavy. My phone was dying. I scrolled through contacts, realizing how small my world was. Friends' parents didn't even like me. Relatives lived hours away. I ended up at a 24-hour diner. I bought the cheapest thing on the menu, black coffee, and sat there until dawn, pretending to study the menu like I belonged. The waitress refilled my cup 3 times without asking questions. She probably knew. By morning, I had $18 left. Over the next week, I learned things no teenager should have to learn. Which gas stations wouldn't chase you off if you hung around too long. Which fast food places left their Wi-Fi unlocked. Which public bathrooms were clean enough to change clothes in. And how quickly $20 can vanish when your life depends on it. I stretched it, dollar menu burgers, convenience store granola bars. I slept at a park one night, at a bus station the next. I learned to hold my backpack like a pillow so it wouldn't get stolen. There were moments I still can't shake. Like the time an older guy at the bus stop offered me a place to crash. He smiled too wide, asked too many questions. Something in me screamed no. I lied, said my brother was picking me up. I walked away, even though it meant another night on a bench. Or the time I almost stole food. I had a pack of sandwiches in my jacket pocket, sweating bullets. Right at the door, I saw a little kid staring at me. I put it back. Hunger felt safer than the guilt in that kid's eyes. Not everyone was cruel. That waitress from the diner started recognizing me. After about a week, she slid a plate in front of me without charging. Just said, it was a mistake order. I knew it wasn't. Another night, a bus driver let me ride without paying. He saw me digging through coins and just waved me on. Don't worry about it, kid. Those little kindnesses kept me human. Reminded me I wasn't completely invisible. By the second week, the $20 was long gone. My body felt like it was shutting down, no real food, no sleep, constant stress. I found myself standing outside my house again, middle of the night, staring at that same door. I thought about knocking. Begging. But I couldn't. Pride, fear, anger, it all tangled together. If she opened it just to slam it again, I didn't think I'd survive it. So I walked away. My lifeline came from a grocery store. I walked in one morning, desperate, and asked if they were hiring. The manager looked me up and down, greasy hair, baggy eyes, but he must have seen something. He handed me a paper application. A week later, I was bagging groceries for minimum wage. It wasn't glamorous, but it was everything. It meant I could eat. It meant I could save. It meant I could rent a tiny room from someone's basement ad on Craigslist. That first night with an actual bed, I cried harder than I ever had in my life. It's been years since then. I'm not 17 anymore. I've got my own apartment now. A real one, with my name on the lease and food in the fridge. But sometimes I still wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, expecting to be on a park bench, clutching my backpack. And sometimes, when I'm at a diner, I see a kid sitting alone with nothing but a coffee. And I always pick up their tab. Because you never forget what it feels like to be 17, homeless, and invisible with only $20 between you and the world. I don't hate my mom anymore. I don't forgive her either. Maybe both things can be true. But I know that night made me who I am. And if you're reading this, sitting on a curb somewhere, thinking you're alone, you're not. Someone out there will notice you. Someone will hand you a plate of food, wave you onto a bus, or give you your first shot at a job. That'll be enough to start. And sometimes, starting is everything. The confrontation with my dad. I think what still stings most is the last conversation I had with my dad. It wasn't dramatic, not like in the movies. I had come home late from my part-time job at a grocery store. He was sitting in his chair, beer in hand, the TV light flickering across his face. "Where the hell have you been?" he barked. "Working," I said. "Trying to save money." "For what?" he snapped. "So you can run off and pretend you're better than us?" I didn't answer. That silence was enough. He stood up, shoved his wallet into his pocket, pulled out a crumpled 20 and shoved it at me. "Go then. Let's see how far that takes you. You think you're grown? Prove it." And that was it. He didn't yell anymore. He didn't even look at me when I walked out the door. The first night I told you about, the diner, the hot water, it was rough. But the second night? That's when reality hit. I ended up sleeping behind a strip mall. I thought it was safe, bright lights, security cameras. But around 2 a.m., a car pulled up. 3 guys got out, laughing, obviously drunk. They saw me curled up by the dumpster and started shouting. "Hey, kid! You run away from home? You got anything on you?" I froze. My whole body locked up. One of them walked closer, too close. He leaned down, tried to grab my backpack. Instinct kicked in, I bolted. I ran faster than I ever had in my life, my shoes slapping against the pavement, their laughter echoing behind me. That's when I realized, out here, nobody was coming to save me. When I first stepped into the youth shelter weeks later, I expected judgment. I expected someone to look at me like I was trash. Instead, the volunteer at the front desk just said, "Hey, you hungry?" I nodded. Couldn't even speak. She handed me a tray with spaghetti and bread. My hands shook so hard I spilled half the sauce on the floor. Another kid sitting nearby, maybe 15, skinny, with dyed blue hair, pushed over his napkin and said, "Happens to everyone on their first day." We laughed. Just a small, stupid laugh. But that laugh cracked something open in me. For the first time since that door slammed, I didn't feel invisible. The counselor at the shelter set me up with an interview at a diner. I didn't even own decent clothes. Someone from the shelter donated an old button-up shirt. Too big, smelled faintly of mothballs, but it was better than nothing. The manager, a heavy-set guy named Rick, looked me up and down. "Ever washed dishes before?" I shook my head. "No, but I'll learn fast." He squinted at me for a long moment, then shrugged. "All right. You show up on time, you work hard, you got the job." That night, I scrubbed pans until my fingers pruned, water stinging the small cuts on my hands. And yet, I smiled. Because for the first time in months, I wasn't just surviving. I was building. I told you earlier about my first studio apartment. Let me paint it clearer: peeling wallpaper, carpet that smelled like old cigarettes, one buzzing light in the kitchen. But to me, it was a palace. I remember sitting cross-legged on the floor the first night, eating instant ramen out of the pot, staring at the locked door. I whispered to myself, "This is mine." And I cried. Not out of sadness, out of relief. Years later. Fast forward. I'm in my late 20s now. I have a stable job, a circle of friends, even a little savings. Sometimes I pass teenagers hanging out downtown, laughing, shoving each other, complaining about their parents being so strict. And I wonder if they have any idea how fragile it all is. How one slammed door, one crumpled bill, can change everything. I don't hate my parents anymore. I don't forgive them either. I just accept that they gave me life, and then pushed me to survive it alone. The $20 today. That original bill is framed above my desk. Visitors sometimes ask why I keep such a ratty piece of paper on display. I tell them the truth. That 20 was supposed to break me. Instead, it started everything. And whenever I feel weak, whenever life knocks me down, I look at it and remind myself, if I survived that, I can survive anything.